I'll tell you what, this might be the best week of the year. Welcome to another edition, friends, of Inside Coverage here on Yahoo, the how and the why, any and everything you need to know about the National Football League. My name is Andrew Siciliano. This is our Week 11 preview show. As always, we don't preview every game. That's a 2-hour pod, and then I would have to listen to it on 2X. Can we go faster than 2X? I love my friends who do 2-hour pods to preview every game. We pick like 5 games that interest us most. So maybe we might skip your game, but you're going to be better off for listening to the 5 games that we picked, even though this is like an inclusive show where we want to take your input as well. I'm just rambling. Let's welcome in my friends. Frank Schwab, senior NFL writer, our betting analyst here on Yahoo as well, Ben Fawkes. Gentlemen, happy Week 11 to you and yours. I think, Frank, and listen, we're all about calling this the best ever because it's always like, it's the game of the year. There's like 3 or 4 game of the years this week. This is an awesome week.
You're that excited for Jets-Patriots. Wow. I like it.
I mean,
no, you're not talking
Thursday
about that
football.
one. You're talking about some
We're
of the other
skipping Thursday Night Football. Garrett Wilson's on IR. Aaron Glenn is still doing sideline dances.
At least we got
the
a
Jets
great
won a
Monday
game last
night
week.
game,
They were
right?
actively trying to lose.
Right, Andrew? We got a great Monday night game, right? No. Oh, no. But you're right. On Sunday,
Okay.
Sunday's going to be excellent.
Look,
Sunday has
there are a lot of layers to
unbelievable
Monday
clashes.
night. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. We'll
Ben?
we'll go with a lot of layers, yeah.
Yes. Do you share our excitement?
I do. Frank, Christmas is still a little while away. We don't need the Grinch here already. Sheesh. I mean, Week 11. These are some great Sunday games, great Sunday slate, and great late games too. Usually, right, you have the late slate. There's kind of one game everyone's watching. There's going to be a couple that everyone wants to see, and a great Sunday night football game as well. So it's going to be a good day in front of the computer and the couch watching games.
Ben, I'm glad you pointed that out because I pointed that a couple of days ago as well. And just for the record, I've been accused by many a former partner in relationships that sometimes I could focus on the negative and not the positive. So I don't want to be that guy, and I'm working on that. Spent a lot of time on the couch working on that. But I think Ben's got a good point. We could do a segment here, Frank, called "Get Off My Lawn." Or maybe can we have the Yahoo graphics team like do something where Frank is in a lawn chair screaming at the kids in the driveway?
Yelling at the clouds.
That's a segment. Get off my lawn. Because I feel like if I said I love grandma and apple pie right now, Frank would yell at me that like, who the hell likes
I don't love apple pie. I
like my grandfather better than my grandmother. Who doesn't like apple pie?
That's weird. Apple pie's weird. So's pumpkin. Pumpkin pie's even worse. Oh,
apple pie's the only good pie.
I guess, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's some others probably. I'm not a big
not
pie
the only
person, so.
Okay. Let's lay out the games. Okay. So there's a game in Madrid. Bienvenidos a Madrid. The first
this
game
is one of the ones you were talking about.
Madrid. En el Estadio de
Sorry,
Real
Spain.
Madrid. Los Commanders y Los Dolphins. That's the game in Madrid. And then it's a 7+4 week. So 7 games early, 4 games late. The Colts and the Saints mercifully have buys. 7 early, 4 late. The late window is absolutely ridiculous. We're actually just going to start with Sunday night because that's the order Madison put him in the rundown. And I think it's actually probably the right order. So let's do Sunday night to open up the week. The 6-3 Lions, the 7-2 Eagles. The Lions are the 3 seed in the NFC. The Eagles are the 1 seed in the NFC, and evidently the sky is falling in Philadelphia. It's a Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark game because, of course, it is. Interesting note here from the league. So the Lions and Eagles last year were 1-2 in the NFC. Right now, it's the Eagles and Lions 1-3. The same 2 teams have not finished as the top 2 seeds in a conference in consecutive years. Anyone? In a decade?
94? Oh, okay.
No, Broncos and Patriots, they did it 4 straight years between 12 and 15 in the AFC. It hasn't happened in the NFC since, you're right, the Niners and Cowboys between 92 and 95. So this really is the chalk. All due respect to the Seahawks and the Rams there in the late window. We're going to get to them in a little bit. Nick Sirianni and Dan Campbell also, oddly enough, with all these great matchups we've seen that we seemingly get every year. We haven't seen this one in a while. They've only faced each other twice, and both were back in 21. The Eagles won them both. It was a different version of the Lions all the way back then. Dan Campbell seemingly is going to call plays yet again, and you can't blame them after they racked up 564 yards last week after the two running backs, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, combined last week for 243 yards. The story in this game, simply put, will be not only who wins, but does A.J. Brown get the ball? After we wrapped up our pod yesterday, A.J. Brown went in front of his locker and tried to explain his Twitch comments about, hey, you should go drop me on fantasy. In essence, he said, it's not about me, but I think parenthetically, it is about him. Here's what A.J. Brown said.
Situation. AJ, how do you square your situation with the fact that you said you took?
It's not just solely about my situation. I mean, guys, like, obviously I want to win too, you know, and I think if we're really focusing on winning and doing our job, like, we can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over the defense doing their job and getting us out of trouble. At what point are we going to pick up our slack as an offense that we're so great, you know? And that's what I'm getting at. It's not about we're not winning or I don't care about winning. All I care about is snapping step. No, it's been week after week sometimes we're not contributing. We're not doing our job on offense. So you can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over it and you expect to win late in the year and you think you're going to go to it at the end of the year. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, and last year, what it was, thank you for the ring, but it's a new season. They adapted. We have to adapt, and we have to continue to, like, get better and try to find new ways. So that's where the frustration comes in, because it's not about winning, you guys. Like, I want to win, yes, and help contribute as well. Do our thing on offense as well. I think that's fair.
All right, so this is going back to relationships, one of those both can be true things. AJ's right. The offense doesn't look right, even though they're scoring 24 points a game, which is 11th, Frank, in the NFL. But I think it is about him, because when he complains publicly, it generally is about him, right? I'm sure he's saying these things internally and not just overtly and externally. But in the grand scheme of things, even though it looks like it's just a kid pressing buttons on Madden sometimes with their play selection, they are still scoring points. I don't want this to be the story, but you know, for 3 hours Sunday night on the broadcast, it is going to be the story.
It's funny that AJ has done this over and over, where he says something that is obviously about him. Obviously, AJ, let's be real here. When you say, if you got me on your fantasy team, go ahead and drop me, you're not talking about the team at that point. You're not talking about the offense. We know what you're talking about. You're not getting the ball enough, and he's not. Like, if you look at his stats this year, they're stunning. Like, he's been a ghost. Like, he has done virtually nothing all year except for a couple games. And then he comes out when they get, locker room session. And he says, no, let's talk about the team. And everybody says, oh, yeah, he's talking about the team. He's not. This was about A.J. Brown. And I don't even blame him, because they do need to get him involved. They do need to figure out this offense. But I also will ask you guys a question. Can you remember a team that not only was defending champs, but 7-2, and there's every week that we're talking about this, like there's some like 3-16. Like, I have never seen so much angst from a champion with a really, really good record like this every single week. It is crazy. It's like it's a soap opera in Philly now. We lose sight of the fact that they're 7-2, because it seems like every week somebody's complaining about something else. And this isn't going right, and that's not going right, and I'm not getting the ball enough, and Saquon's not getting going. It's absolutely insane. Like, this Eagles season has just been really, really unique. I've never seen anything like it.
I was using the Madden analogy before, Ben. I don't know if you guys played Madden. I'm an adult. I played Madden, and honestly, it helps me get ready. No, truly, it helps me get ready for the game I'm calling that week. Visualization. I'm playing with the other, so I could like get the names and the numbers and the formations and everything down in my head. But sometimes when I'm speeding through a game and I just want to get it over with, you just keep hitting the X button over and over and over again to just get to the next play, and it's whatever the computer gives me, and then I'm running it. And sometimes, Ben, Kevin Patullo's offense looks like that.
Yeah, and to Frank's point, like, one, this is just the antithesis, right, of, let's say, the Bill Belichick New England Patriots, a really successful team that also won multiple Super Bowls. They're not airing grievances through the media, right? Things are kept in house. If anything, they're too boring. They're not saying enough. It just seems like this is one of the least happy, successful teams we've ever seen, right? Everyone can understand if you're losing games, people are frustrated. I've been a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. They were very, very bad for a long period of time. And obviously, the star players, at some point, you get upset. That totally makes sense. This team is winning. And I think why it's so interesting is we've seen both kind of avenues that this can go, right? We saw a couple years ago when they were 10-1, 10-2, and then fell apart and lost to, I believe, the Bucs in the wild card round. There wasn't even a game, and so we've seen that. And then we've also seen similar things and then put it all together and dominate Patrick Mahomes and win a Super Bowl. So, but in both those situations, they're also still winning the games, which is what's so fascinating. And I think we've seen in some of that reporting with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and behind the scenes. And this is also what comes with star players too, right? Like A.J. Brown, they got him for a first-round pick from the Titans. The Titans drafted a wide receiver who they then cut a few years later. Like, by all accounts, it was an unbelievable trade for the Eagles. But much like Randy Moss, you're not only trading for the talent on the field, you're trading for everything that comes off the field and in the locker room and everything else. So this is part of the issue with them. I guess specifically for this game, it's a really interesting game from a betting perspective as well. Eagles, a 2.5-point home favorite. They're playing the Lions. This is going to be a public dog. I think a lot of people will be betting on the Lions in terms of the public. We have seen some respected money on the under. So this has shifted down a bit from 48.5, 49 down to 46.5. It is it is Eagles -3 at one sharp book. So potentially the market could go there as opposed to coming back down. And this was Eagles -3.5 in the summer. So potentially bookmakers seeing a little more from the Lions than they saw certainly from the Eagles last week. A lot of injuries as well to monitor for this on Wednesday. Aiden Hutchinson, Terrion Arnold, Kirby Joseph, Penei Sewell didn't practice. On the Eagles side, a lot of offensive line questions with Lane Johnson obviously going out in against the Packers on Sunday. So a lot to kind of see. I think you'd probably want to wait if you're betting on this game and see how some of those injuries play out, or get one side depending on which one you like and you think the line movement's going to go. It's also a real interesting contrast of styles. The Eagles seem like they're doing just enough to win the game, and the Lions really are that, Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit. They're going for it on fourth down. They kind of know who they are, and they're kind of going for the maximum return, right? 4th and 4 at the 10-yard line, they're probably going for it and going for that touchdown. And so I think it'll be a really interesting contrast of styles. And also the Lions are 24-12 as underdogs under Dan Campbell. So they've been very good in this spot as well. I like the Lions. I think Frank's on the other side, but this is going to be a really good game regardless.
Yeah, I
Frank,
was
real
on the
quick,
Eagles,
you're on
but it
the
was
other-
the toughest.
You
Yeah, it was
on
the
the
toughest
Eagles.
game I had to
Okay.
pick. Like, I do pick all the games at yahoo.com. You can see those. I think I'm 14 over 500 this season on those picks. And this was my toughest pick of the week because I keep going back and forth. Because one thing that keeps sticking in my mind is this is the last call for the Lions to get the first seed in the NFC again. If they lose this game, they're 2 games behind the Eagles, and the Eagles have the tiebreaker. Do I think the Detroit Lions, as much as I respect the Lions, can be 3 games better than the Eagles the rest of the way? No. They need to win this game if they want that 1 seed. So a lot of urgency on their side. I lean towards the Eagles, but you ask me Sunday, I might change my mind. That's how close it is. It's a coin flip.
Yeah, it's a great point here. This has everything to do with January and seeding. And if they were to meet again, where is this game going to be played in the postseason? And as for the running or the defense, let's get to that real quick. The Lions come into the top 10 run defense. They have the number 6 run defense in the NFL. Obviously, injuries there, Ben, that you just listed, will factor here. It's going to be Saquon's 100th career NFL game. You'd love to see him bust out another great performance. We've seen a little of that coming back of late here. But just this number jumped off the page to me today. And it's been well documented how much the Eagles' run game has taken a step back this year. They are averaging 86 fewer yards as a team per game on the ground this year. So
Wow.
if the Lions take away the run game, the story of will Jalen Hurts be able to pass the Eagles to victory with A.J. Brown or whomever will be a fascinating storyline, particularly in the fourth quarter. All right, there are more NFC seedings here in play in the late window. So before that one kicked, you're going to have a game of the month, maybe. I think this one is just as good. This one might honestly be better. The 7-2 Seahawks and the 7-2 Rams. It's a 4:00 Eastern time kick. It's at SoFi here in Los Angeles. Joe Davis, Greg Olson, and Pam Oliver on the call. It is a Fox game. It is the 5 seed. The Seahawks right now are the 5. The Rams are the 2. I beg your pardon, the other way around. The Seahawks are the 2. The Rams are the 5. Seattle is in first in the NFC West. They have a 2-1 division record. Rams are 1-1. Remember, the Rams lost to the 49ers. If you didn't listen to Quentin Lake on yesterday's show, the Rams DB, go back and find that on their YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. It's really good stuff there about the matchup with Cooper Kupp. Rams are going to be wearing their cool dark uniforms, their one-off uniforms here for the divisional games here. The NFC West is the only division with 3 teams with 6 or more wins, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers. These teams have each won 4 straight, so that's the longest winning streak in the NFC. The Seahawks or the Rams are the only teams in the NFL with a top 5 scoring offense and a top 5 scoring defense. Neither of these teams, and this is a fun one, has trailed in a game since week 6, and these are the top 2-point differentials in the NFC. For my money, these are the 2 best teams in the NFC. And the question is, can either team get to the quarterback effectively enough to have them throw some bad balls, to have them throw a pick or 2, to have them rush their process and have the defense capitalize? Which Sam Darnold do the Rams get? Do they get the Sam Darnold that they sacked 9 times in the wild card round a year ago when he was playing with the Vikings, and that effectively sealed his exit out of Minnesota? Or do they get the Sam Darnold that was 10 of 12 last week in the blowout win over the Cardinals, who got out to such an early lead thanks to the defensive touchdowns that he only had to throw the ball twice in the second half, which is just absurd. Styles make fights. Rams are playing a lot of 13 personnel. Seahawks are getting to the quarterback, but they're not blitzing. Matthew Stafford's exceedingly good this year against the blitz. Mike McDonald, you never know where the pressure is coming from, but he's not bringing 5 that often, or 6. He's just changing the look post-snap, and then Stafford's got to figure out where it's coming from. The Rams have protected him well. This game is a beautiful chess match here between Sean McVay and Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak and Chris Shula. And this, to me, Frank, is a preview of the NFC Championship game.
Very well could be. I mean, I know how much you like DVOA. Seattle's number 1 in DVOA, and the Rams are 2. And I think that's perfectly legit. I mean, when you watch these teams play, there's not really a weakness on either team. They're both good up and down, including the coaching, including the quarterbacks, both being in the top 6 of the MVP odds right now. Just a great game. I can't remember the last time we had 2 monumental games in the late window. Like I think Ben said before, like it's usually one. Like it's usually the game of the week, and then the rest is like the Arizona Cardinals are playing whoever, whatever. We got the NFC West, one of the first 2 championship games of the NFC West, I believe that. And then you got this great story with the Chiefs Broncos, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Both going out at the same time. I can't wait. This game is unbelievably good. I really don't have anything against either team. If you got to pick one of these sides, it's like, which side do you pick? Because neither of these teams has a weakness. I don't look at either side and say, well, they can't do this, or if you take advantage of this. They're both rock solid, both great coaches. I'll take Seattle just because I think they're a little bit better. I don't think they're a lot better, and it is in LA. So who knows? Again, these 2 teams play again week 16, Thursday Night Football. Great Thursday Night Football matchup for a change. But this one is just, if the Seattle Seahawks can win this game, they're in pole position, because then they get the return match in Seattle on a Thursday night. I'm just looking forward to this game. This is one I just want to settle back and watch with the Denver Broncos on the other screen. I'm sure the Buffalo Wild Wings I'm at in suburban Denver is going to be going crazy for that game. I'm going to be the dude watching Seattle and LA, because this is just a phenomenal football game. Again, I like Seattle, but who knows? These are just two fantastic. It could very easily be the NFC Championship game, and I'd sign up for that right now. I think it'd be a great championship game.
Frank's painting a nice picture of his Sunday afternoon at Buffalo Wild Wings.
And this is happy
like
Frank
Sunday,
too.
same
this
seat,
is like
same seat, same table.
Yeah, this is like, everything is awesome. Lego movie Frank.
It's a better version from what we had a couple minutes ago.
I'm not the one to schedule Jets Patriots on a Thursday. Okay, come on, go ahead.
That's true. This open Rams 2.5 at a lot of books. Now basically Rams -3 painted across the market, which kind of makes sense. And as Frank mentioned, it's very rare we have what Aaron Schatz termed the DVOA Bowl, right? With the Rams, the number 1 team in DVOA, and the Seahawks number 2, or excuse me, vice versa.
Rams?
Seahawks number 1.
I think it's Seahawks number 1.
Yeah, Seahawks number 1, the Rams number 2. I know Frank loves QBR, so Sam Darnold number 1 in QBR, Matthew Stafford number 6. But also, these are
Matthew Stafford be number 6 in QBR, Ben?
He's thrown 4 touchdowns in 3 consecutive games.
He's had 20 touchdowns, no interceptions since week 3. QBR, come on.
I just report the stats. I don't explain them. Also, Stafford second in success rate. Sam Darnold third. These are just 2 really good teams with really good quarterbacks. Also, who have been really good to bettors. These are the 2 best teams against the spread. Both are 7-2 straight up. Both are 7-2 against the spread. The Rams 3-1 against the spread at home. The Seahawks 4-0 against the spread on the road. And that has been a theme under Mike Macdonald. The Seahawks 11-1 on the road under Mike Macdonald, including 8-3-1 against the spread. But at home, where this game isn't, they're only 5-8 straight up. So they've done better on the road. The one difference in DVOA I thought was interesting was on special teams. Seahawks 2nd in special teams, the Rams 23rd, and some of those kicking issues that the Rams have had probably factor in there. And one injury as well to keep an eye on. It's not often you highlight a guard, but the Seahawks' Gray Zabel has been fantastic this season. He was limited with a heel injury in practice, and with that offensive line, which has protected Sam Darnold so well, that could be one to watch. Devontae Adams as well didn't practice on Wednesday with an oblique. But the Seahawks are basically having the same formula the Vikings did last year, which is get a lead, rely on the defense, and then Sam Darnold can play from that lead. We kind of saw what happened in a couple games last season, both that Lions game and then the Rams playoff game with Sam Darnold when he didn't have a lead. He hasn't really struggled in the same way in some of those games he did with the Vikings last season. He's just been fantastic, and you could definitely make a case that Stafford has been even better. It's a ridiculous stat that he's thrown at least 4 touchdown passes in 3 consecutive games. They've just been on fire and rolling. This is an amazing game, and honestly one you probably would want to live bet and see if one team goes up and you get a better number on the other one, unless you really have an opinion on it. But this is about as dead even, I think, as it gets.
Yeah, that 3 straight games with 4 touchdowns. No one's ever done that. Matthew Stafford is doing that at 37 years old.
First time ever? Wow.
Let me check my notes here.
I think so.
Let's see. Yeah. Stafford, first player in NFL history with 4. Well, here it is: 4 touchdowns and no picks in 3 games.
Yeah. That's
so
unbelievable.
4-0.
He's been great
in 3 straight games. What's absurd? What's nuts too is that the Seahawks can't run the ball. They're bad. They're not running the football, yet they're getting more explosives in the pass game than anybody, which is just counterintuitive. Unless you just go, oh, we're going to stuff the box, and then we're going to win every one-on-one we get when you try to shut down the run, which shows you how well that Darnold is playing and how well and how accurately he's throwing the football. Your point about the playoff game last year, he was sacked 9 times in that game. I've said that stat 1,000 times. He has been sacked only 10 times this season. So, yeah, sign me up for this one. You mentioned Broncos and Chiefs coming up next on Inside Coverage. We'll hit that game, and we'll talk to former NFL defensive lineman, now on Good Morning Football on NFL Network, now with a great podcast and a social media star, fresh back from Berlin, Isaac Rochell, set to join us. Don't go anywhere. It is Inside Coverage on Yahoo. I was told years ago by one of my bosses, don't refer to something off the air that you don't properly explain on the air, because then the listener, the viewer, they feel like they're left out, like they're not in on the secret. So just full disclosure, during the break, I went full Frank. I went full get off my lawn, complaining about highways in Denver on the way to the airport. So, Frank, I'm sorry. It's your town.
That's okay.
And I complain too much.
They'll complain about the airport too. Don't trust me.
He agrees with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not defending where that airport is. I think it's in Nebraska.
I think the B terminal is lovely. United's moving a lot more domestic flights into that terminal. Brand new club there as well. I think it's great. That's cool. And they redid security now, so that's cool. Right? I still haven't ever seen any of the ghosts that are allegedly in that airport.
Yeah, the Illuminati, man. Come on. We got the DIA is famous,
right?
Yeah.
Need to explore all that. We can unpack that a little bit later. Yeah. Anyway, Ben, sorry you have to listen to that. All right, let's get on as we continue this amazing week 11, to the 5-4 Chiefs and the 8-2 Denver Broncos, everybody. This is in the late window. If you are watching CBS, and this is an Nance Romo and Tracy Wolfson game, the entire country will get this game unless you live in an AFC North market. And then if that's the case, you're going to get the Browns and the Ravens. But in all likelihood, you're getting the 8 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Right. If the playoffs were to start today, they don't. The Chiefs wouldn't be in, against the number 2 seed Denver Broncos. Is Josh Simmons back? I don't know. Tune in on Sunday. The Broncos have won 7 consecutive games, which is tied for the longest winning streak in the NFL. They have actually won 10 straight games at home, which is ridiculous. The Chiefs have won 9 consecutive AFC West titles, and they have absolutely dominated Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos and any other coach that has come before Sean Payton. During the Patrick Mahomes era, it has been all Mahomes. Mahomes has lost only 1 game of any significance against the Denver Broncos. 1 since the Obama administration. This thing has been so one-sided, it is comical. And the Broncos know that to win this division, they have to win this game. They have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And if they're going to do it, it's going to be on defense. Frank is very, very, very protective of the Broncos offense, and I've been highly critical. I am bringing some stats here. I am not saying, Frank, that the Broncos offense is so bad that is going to hold them back from winning the AFC. But I brought some notes. However, so the Broncos, in their 7-game winning streak, have trailed for 206 offensive snaps. No team with a 7-game winning streak has trailed for that long during said winning streak since all the way back in 1991, pretty much as long as they can track it. So that shows you how much the defense is carrying this offense. It is almost not a Orwellian, but Osweilerian stretch here for Bo Nix. He has a passer rating of 83 in wins, which is the second lowest by any quarterback with at least 8 wins in a season in a decade. And the only one worse in that stretch was Brock Osweiler with the Texans in 2016. So my point is, this defense isn't just carrying the offense. They are lugging it down Pena Boulevard back to the airport. And Bo Nix has got to do something in quarters 1 through 3, because if they wait till quarter 4, this is Patrick Mahomes' game.
Not wrong on any of that. I will say there are 2 things you said that have been completely overlooked during this NFL season. One thing you said was the 8-2 Denver Broncos. The other thing you said was they've won 7 in a row. Why are we just ignoring this? Like, yes, the offense has not been great. I am not going to sit here and tell you it has.
Is anyone ignoring it?
Miserable. Is what?
Is anyone ignoring it?
Yes, I believe the Denver Broncos, the fact that they're 3.5-point underdogs in this game, everybody expects the Chiefs to win this game. Everybody. Okay. I think that I'm waiting to hear Ben, because I do not know the betting stats on this. I hope he has them, because I assume that the entire world's going to be on the Chiefs in this game. I think the Broncos have been completely disrespected, and nobody looks at them as a Super Bowl contender. Nobody thinks they're going to win the AFC West. I'll tell you what, that defense is awesome. I live here, obviously. I've lived here for a long time. I remember 2015. Peyton Manning had a 69 passer rating that year. That team won a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that's the way you want to live in the NFL, but there are 2 sides to football. There's the offense, there's the defense. This defense is great, fantastic. I do worry that they're going to be without Alex Singleton. They're going to be without Patrick Surtain, but I still trust this defense to keep them in this game. And I also trust Sean Payton. I've been saying this all season. Yes, it gets harder and harder when we go along the weeks, and we're like in double-digit weeks now saying Sean Payton's going to figure this out at some point. Well, he probably should have by now, but Sean Payton is not going to have a bad offense all season. I can't buy that. I just think that if you ask anybody, I think if you ask 100 people who's going to win the AFC West, I think 98 of them would say the Chiefs. I really do. Like, I think everybody assumes the Chiefs are going to win this division. I don't. I think the Broncos win this division. I think they win Sunday. I think that defense comes to play. I think this is a game they've had circled on their calendar all year, because last year, we go back to last year, the 2024 Chiefs caught every break you can catch. Every break. Like, we know that. We talked about that story a million times. The Denver Broncos went into Arrowhead Stadium, completely outplayed the Chiefs, lined up for a game-winning field goal, and got blocked. That's kind of fluky. That's not going to happen every single time, right? The Broncos outplayed them then. Week 18, the Chiefs gave up. They didn't want to play in that game. Fine, no problem. But the last time we saw the real Chiefs play the real Broncos, the Broncos outplayed them. They've won 10 in a row at home, like you said. It's a good home field advantage here. I just think the Broncos are being completely overlooked. I think the point spread here, Broncos plus 3.5, is just very disrespectful to them. A full field goal, you're giving them more than a full field goal. I don't buy that. This team has been very, very good. I get the offensive struggles. Nobody's given the defense enough credit. Nobody's given the coaching staff enough credit. Nobody's giving the offense enough credit for coming up with these plays in the fourth quarter. It's not like you're just stumbling into them. They are making the plays. I got the Broncos in this game. I'm gonna die on this hill. I'm gonna die on this Broncos hill.
I mean, that was as impassioned a argument as we're going to have, attacking Frank's Broncos. So yes, Chiefs 3.5 point road favorites. Also at some books 4. So this is, I do agree with Frank. This is a big spread. This was Chiefs 1.5 in the summer. The look ahead line was 2.5, and it reopened 3.5. And again, at some books up to 4.
So Ben, real quick, I always like to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to do this. If it's 4 at some books, you're saying in Arrowhead Stadium that this line would be like -9, -10? Come on. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
No, I don't think it would be that much, because it's 1.5.
That's what it is. If you take away the home field and you give them the home field, like, that's what it would be.
Ridiculous. But it is a high line. The public is going to be on the Chiefs. There's already $100,000 wager on the Chiefs -3.5. So again, just one big better, but certainly you're going to have an opinion if you're laying $100,000. The Chiefs, though, are 5th in DVOA, and the Broncos are 9th. I think part of the reason as well, you've seen some of this shift, and also why the public isn't going to be betting on the Broncos as much, is because not only have the Broncos stunk in certain games, despite the fact that they've won, a little bit like the Eagles we talked about earlier, the Broncos not necessarily getting the style points with these wins, but some of these have also been island games, right? So they had that just awful game against the Jets in London, and they won, but if I thought that game was going to set football back a couple decades, then they played the Raiders last Thursday night, and we all had to watch that as well. Again, they still won the game, but they're not impressing anyone with these victories. And so the betting public is going to bet what they saw last, and that was the Broncos looking terrible against the Raiders defense. Obviously, the Chiefs a much better team. And the Broncos last couple of years under defensive coordinator Vance Joseph have played really well against Patrick Mahomes. The Broncos have scored 19 points, 9 points, and 16 points in those 3 games that Mahomes has started. So Mahomes tends to win the games, but they have had a formula kind of for being able to keep that offense in check. I think a lot of this game is going to come down to, can that Broncos offense look at decent in the first 3 quarters as opposed to the fourth quarter and not fall into too big of a hole. And to Frank's point about that line, this is only the second time since 2013 that we've seen a team that's 8-2 be a home dog of more than 3 points. So it's very rare situation that team with that good a record at home is an underdog. But the other one was actually the 9-2 Chiefs under Alex Smith. They played Peyton Manning and the Broncos, and the Broncos won that game. So
I remember that.
The Chiefs are favored for a reason, for sure, and they are number 1 in a lot of odds makers' power ratings, which is that's why the line is set where it is. Yeah. But it is a fascinating line that they are a 3.5 or 4 point road favorite.
Couple of things. Number one here, I am not in any way tearing down the Broncos offense. They've been fantastic in the fourth quarter. My point is it's not sustainable. You need to do it for more than just the fourth quarter. And as for the Chiefs in one-score games, last year they were unbelievable. They got every break, but they earned their breaks. They were 11-0 in one-score games. This year the Chiefs are 0-4 in one-score games. So, yeah, that would seemingly play into the Broncos' hand, considering the way that they have played in these one-score games, or even down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, rallying to win. I'm just saying you can't leave it for that. You can't. I'm looking not only micro but macro, not only this week, but long-term here for a team that has very high aspirations. By the way, as we're recording this, Kyle Shanahan just announced Brock Purdy is back as the starting quarterback of your San Francisco 49ers this week. All right, let's move on. We have let me check my watch here before Madison gets too mad at me. We got 7 minutes for these next 2 games, all right? Here we go. Bears, Vikings. Get excited. The 6 seed visiting the 10 seed. The Bears are 6-3. The Vikings are 4-5. This is a Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady and his clone dog, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi affair. The Bears are 6-3 for the first time or better since 2018. They ended up going 12-4 that year. But have they beaten anybody? If you care about strength of victory, and that does factor when it comes to playoff seedings eventually at the end, it is the worst strength of victory, 272 of any team with a record of 500 or better right now. This is a rematch. Remember week 1, Caleb and the Bears came out looking great. Yay, they're back. Ben Johnson making mayor or governor in the state of Illinois. Then they blew an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter. J.J. McCarthy came back and we crowned him, but then it's been a roller coaster of injuries and kind of play since then. J.J. banged up his right hand. He's good to go. He's back practicing again on Thursday as we record this. Fair to ask, though, how effective he's going to be. When he met the media on Wednesday, he had his hands in his hoodie and never took his right hand out, so we don't actually know what it looks like. Caleb, Frank, has carved up the Bengals, and he's carved up, I don't remember, another bad
Giants,
team, the Panthers, whatever it was.
Saints.
Right.
But
Saints.
Yeah, but is he going to carve up Brian Flores and the Vikings? They really run the ball well, the Bears do. They're back like top 5 running the football. What do they do against Brian Flores and the Vikings? Conversely, J.J. McCarthy, what do you do against the defense that has turned the ball or turned the opposition over more than any other team in the NFL? Dennis Allen's defense is not perfect, and they're banged up here, especially on the back end. But they have forced the most turnovers in the NFL. Frank, what do you like?
I think Ben, me and him have similar mindsets. We've hung out in Vegas before and talked this all through. If you think, I think most casual fans would be like, "Wow, the Bears are 6-3. They've won 6 or 7 games. They're going to play a Vikings team that's 4-5. The Bears are probably favored, right?" No. Vikings are a full field goal favorite. I think that's totally justified, and that tells you a lot about these teams. It specifically tells you a lot about the Bears. I hate to say this because I think the Bears are coming along just fine this season. Ben Johnson's first year, you're getting Caleb used to everything. He's still a young quarterback. There's still building left to do. But as far as 6-3 goes, the Bears are fraudulent. They're not as good as their record. I'm sorry. They're just not. Regression is coming for the Bears, probably coming this season, and it's probably coming on Sunday. I think the Vikings win this game. The one unit I trust here is the Vikings defense. Very, very good. We saw that in the opener. Caleb came out, the scripted plays. He was really good. And after that, he hit a wall, and they could not move the ball the rest of the game. I expect to see something similar, especially in Minnesota. I do worry about J.J. McCarthy. He has not played well. It's a little bit of blind faith that offense is going to get it going, that he's somehow going to be able to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. Maybe T.J. Hawkinson once in a while would be nice for my fantasy team too. But I do trust the Vikings defense. I think they're the better team. Records aside, I just don't really have a lot of faith in the Chicago Bears right now. They should have lost at home last week to the Giants. Jackson Dart got concussed. If Jackson Dart doesn't get concussed and stays in the game for the fourth quarter, Bears don't win that game at home against the Giants, who just fired their coach. Like it's just a great season for them so far. Fun season. Being 6-3 is awesome in Ben Johnson's first year, but it ain't going to continue like this. So I like the Vikings a lot in this game, actually.
Ben, give me 45 seconds.
I think the Vikings are the better team. I don't think that necessarily means that they'll win. Never want your starting quarterback to have an injured throwing hand. He was underhanding passes on Wednesday. He was a full participant on Thursday, but he hasn't played well when he's been healthy, and he hasn't been healthy most of the season. To Frank's point, the Vikings 22nd in DVOA, the Bears 25th, including 28th on offense. So advanced numbers still have the Vikings as the better team. This is down to Vikings -2.5 at several books. A lot of injuries on the Vikings, potentially on defense as well. We're not sure about Jonathan Grenard, Aaron Jones banged up on offense, Andrew Van Ginkel, some others. So I think that's probably drawing some of the line movement a bit. But ultimately, I think the Vikings are a better team. At home, they should win this game, but it's going to be a lot. Can J.J. McCarthy do enough? And the Bears have just found ways to win, kind of like the Broncos. That's why they're 6-3 and not 4-5.
Tune in on Sunday. Ben, I wasn't trying to keep you too short there. Just we have exactly 2 minutes remaining on this final game. All right, the Buccaneers 6-3, the Bills at 6-3, the 4th seed in the NFC against the 4 seed, or beg your pardon, the 6th seed in the AFC. We got the Bucs having lost 2 out of 3. Bucky Irving, is he back? I don't know. Back on the practice field after missing 5 games. Certainly a question mark. And the Bills are coming off their worst loss of the year. It's also a battle of the number 1 pick in the 2018 draft and the number 7 pick in the 2018 draft. Madison?
Baker Mayfield was asked about so
Oh, no.
he needs a walkie-talkie to talk to you because you're 6'10". Yeah, you said you have small hands, so you need gloves still in this one.
That's crazy.
What's the relationship like with Baker?
Baker wears 2 gloves golfing, so he's that type of guy. I love the guy. He's awesome.
So that was Josh Allen answering the question, as Stewie Griffin once said, clip. I thought we had a clip. Thanks, team. Team effort here. Answer the question, hey, Baker claims you have small hands. So I'll just leave it at that. Frank, your thoughts?
I don't trust the Bills right now. And everybody thinks like, oh, they lost. They're going to come back and take it out on somebody. When they lost to the Patriots, they went out the next weekend and got beat by the Atlanta Falcons, got blown out by the Atlanta Falcons. I just don't trust them. I think the Buccaneers keep this game close. I think the spread's 5.5, I believe still. Yeah, I'll take the Buccaneers in the points. I don't trust the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and I'll keep it short and sweet. Good two-way action on this game early. We have seen some money on the under. This went from 50.5 to 48. Part of that potentially weather-related. Looks like even though it might be 40 degrees at kickoff, 15-mile-an-hour winds, could be gusts up to 27, chance of snow. Obviously, you probably would prefer Josh Allen and his cannon arm as opposed to Baker Mayfield in those conditions. So something certainly to watch out for there. These teams are basically equivalent. Bucs are 10th in DVOA. Bills are 11th. But I think what's interesting is the Bucs since week 6, their offense, which was 10th by DVOA, is now 23rd. However, their defense, which was 21st, is now number 1 since week 6. So defense has gotten a lot better. Offense has struggled. And we don't really know exactly what we're getting from the Bills. Baker Mayfield, as a Buck, though, 13-4 against the spread in the next game after a loss. Bills as well, you have to look at Dalton Kincaid potentially playing. Josh Palmer is back, and Khalil Shakir limited, I believe, in practice. So also some other injuries to watch for Buffalo.
Yeah, Bills can't stop the run. Bucs can't run the ball. That's a great matchup there. And don't forget, mention the snow. Baker did used to play someplace where it snowed a little bit. So there is that factor as well. He's not just Florida man, necessarily. So there's that. This game probably deserved more time, but we want more time for Isaac Rochell, who is set to join us coming up next. Also, should there be prop bets in football? We'll kick that around. Inside coverage. All right, it's pretty cool having this guy on. You know him as a player. He played 7 years. Chargers, Colts, Browns, Raiders, although his IG says he will be a Charger for life. But he's great in the media space. Isaac Rochell has been on GMFB. If you're here in Southern California, you watch him on CBS2. The Pod, which is maybe Isaac the best name ever. Don't worry, I'll ask. That's coming back soon as well. And he's with us now on Inside Coverage. How are you, man? Thanks for doing this.
All as well. This is fun. The more, as you know, I get into this space with Good Morning Football, talking ball, more that I can just be in the space and chat about football, it's always good. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, you're kind of the king of the space, you and your wife, Allison. And let's get the congratulations out of the way here. You guys just took to your massive social accounts combined. It was a joint post, I checked, to announce that you're expecting your second. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's life's greatest gift, having a child. So the fact that we get to run it back, have another one, I'm so excited.
Well, can't wait. And I thought the post was awesome. I also loved her caption. Like, I don't know why he's surprised he was in the room. Like,
it's crazy. That's it. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, baby number 2. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, your smile tells the whole story. Let's talk about your Chargers, if we can here. We call them your Chargers, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. So Justin Herbert has been hit on 89 dropbacks this year. And I know a lot of it is injuries, which is the most in the NFL. He's been hit 22 more times than Cam Ward, who's number 2 on the list. It is the second most hits taken of any quarterback in the first 10 games of the season in the last 20 years. Yet they are winning. They are finding a way to win. Is that sustainable? Does it worry you?
Absolutely. But here's the reality of it. Justin Herbert, as of now, is healthy. Okay, so we've dealt with that. Okay, he's gotten hit a lot, but he's still healthy. This team is still in a very, very, very healthy position to do well in the playoffs. So I'm not worried. I think you have to look at it as, what if the Chargers do peak at the right time? What if Herbert isn't getting hit at the end of December and going into January? What if they do rope out some of these AFC West games? I mean, their next AFC West game is the 30th, I think, against the Raiders. They're still 3-0 in the division. It's kind of like a what if situation. So I'm not concerned. I think there's a great potential that they could peak at the right time. He's not getting tore up, and this team's going to look really pretty come January.
Yeah, and they made Aaron Rodgers look really bad this past Sunday. That 3-0 in September in the division. I don't know that people focused enough on it. They're like, oh, that's cute, 3-0 in the division. No. That is going to pay dividends down the stretch.
Andrew, it's everything.
It's everything in the division.
It's everything.
Absolutely. Because it's all about the tiebreakers. Yeah. All about the tiebreakers at the end eventually. I also think this game against the Jaguars, even though obviously new coaching staff and there's been a lot of roster turnover, but like going back to the scene of the crime this week, the big playoff loss a couple of years ago, is interesting as well. Hey, can I pick your brain on A.J. Brown? Because you are, like I said before, you're great in the social space. I feel like you have as good a feel for that as maybe anyone who has recently stepped away from the game, and you were there and great with it as well when you're a current player. Right. A.J. Brown, I want to give him credit for being open and honest. Like we in the media like to criticize guys when they give us cliches, and we criticize them when they tell us the truth. Like, oh, you should keep that in-house. But I also know that players sometimes in the locker room will go, dude, you don't need to say that in the street. A lot of what AJ has said or implied or kind of aired his grievances, it's been subtle. Others has not been subtle, but it's all usually been outside the locker room on IG, on Twitter, on Twitch this week, for Pete's sake, playing Madden.
Right.
How is that viewed in the locker room? Because I think a lot of people probably go, yeah, AJ's right. Like, he needs the ball more. This offense is kind of whatever. And he's doing it socially where he has his own microphone. How does he thread that needle and balance what's right and wrong?
First off, I'd be really surprised if he didn't, to some degree, address it to the team, or at least to his wide receiver room, right? It's definitely been addressed. That can be assumed. I think generally, though, it's not that big of a deal. I think it's just kind of one of those check the box things you do within an organization. Look, I made this comment. You obviously, I'm frustrated. I want to get better. That's always my goal. I'll give you an example. Devonta Adams, when I was playing with the Raiders, said some stuff in the media, threw his helmet on the sideline, turned into this whole narrative. He came to the team, and it was really powerful. He was just like, look, I am a competitor. All the greats who like to compete are going to get emotional. That's what makes being a competitor what it is. And it turned into this inspirational moment for our team. I think it's probably similar with A.J. Brown, where maybe it's turning into some inspiration.
Curious, how awkward did that get between Devontae and Jimmy?
I think well, first off, as a D lineman who was fighting for a spot on that team, I was so far out of those conversations. I know when they moved on from Jimmy, the excitement of AOC becoming the new quarterback at the time, I think that showed how awkward it was. I mean, guys were a little too excited, and you're like, okay, there were probably some intense conversations within those offensive meeting rooms.
Did it surprise you when Devontae went to the Rams? I know it's Matthew. It's not Jimmy. Jimmy's the number 2. I love Jimmy. I assume you got a good relationship with him. Don't want to put words in your mouth. But when that happened, did any part of you go like, that's interesting?
I think he wanted to be on the West Coast. I think he wanted a situation where he's going to win. I think there's so many guys in the NFL where they get to this point in their career where they just want championships. I mean, is Devontae really going to make any more money going to one team or another? Maybe, potentially, right? But I think he wants a championship, and I think he wanted to be on a team where he had the best opportunity. But yeah, you know, I just think it is what it is.
And Sean pushed hard, certainly. FaceTiming him when he was in Japan. I got a little behind-the-scenes taste of that. And when Sean puts the full court press on, generally speaking, he can charm you and he can get you there. And yeah, back in California, why not? And then that leads us perfectly. Last thing I wanted to get you on. This week's game. You got Matthew and hopefully Devontae, if he feels well, against Cooper Kupp coming back to town. And the Seahawks, you look at all the numbers, both of these teams top 5 in everything, offense, defense. This is as good a game. I mean, we always use the cliche, this is a championship game preview. It may as well be. Where do you come down on what goes down at SoFi Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, this is classic where you're looking at people playing their former teams and whatnot. But I look at it as Sam Darnold last year, laid a little bit of an egg in a similar game. So I think this is his opportunity to solidify himself as a very legitimate quarterback. We know he is, right? Nobody would deny that, but I think he wants to make it undeniable. And then obviously this is the Cooper Kupp game. I mean, it's impossible to not circle certain games in your schedule. Any player who says that they don't, they're lying, and they're doing it for the media. This is an important game for him for bigger reasons than the playoff picture and who they are within the year. So I think it's going to be a game that's very passionate and fun to watch. But yeah, do we have a better game up to this point? Maybe the only game that was better is the Icy Hot Bowl, unintentionally, but this would be an exciting football game.
Well, we get the Icy Hot Bowl round 2 this week as well. You got Joe Flacco, assuming his shoulder's okay, on the road in Pittsburgh. Yeah, there's some great games this week. Chiefs, Broncos, Lions, Eagles as well. And yeah, the Chargers heading back to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Isaac Rochell, the Don't Worry, I'll Ask podcast coming back soon. Good Morning Football on NFL Network, CBS 2 in Los Angeles, and soon to be a dad for the second time again. Isaac,
yes.
Thanks for doing this, man. Congratulations. Let's do it again soon. Hope we can.
Thanks, Andrew.
Great stuff there from Isaac Rochell. That guy's got a future in this business. Also, he's a trendsetter on social media. This is Inside Coverage. Andrew Siciliano back with Frank Schwab and Ben Fawkes as we get you ready for week number 11. Some news off the field where the league is trying to stop the NFLPA, the union, from releasing its annual report card. They do that right around the combine. They've done that for 3 years, going to do it for 4. It's where, you could get anonymous quotes from players saying, we hate the locker room, or, we think the plane is awful, or they don't treat our wives well on game day, things like that. The league is pushing back, saying here, in essence, that the CBA prevents players from public comments, club personnel, or players which express criticism of the club. And a big thing, Frank, that the league is pushing back against is the anonymous nature of what is released. The union has generally taken little snippets here, almost like Yelp reviews, if you will, but with no signatures on them. And they'd say, hey, show us all the comments. You can take the names off them, but let us see the full report. And that the union doesn't do that. Your thoughts?
And I think this is one of the few things the union has done really, really well lately. They've held owners accountable. And a lot of owners have looked in the mirror and said, you're right, we do need to upgrade our facilities. Yes, we do need to get better with family care. And what this boils down to is some teams, some owners don't like being told they stink. Woody Johnson, you stink. You're bad. Sorry. If you don't want to be criticized in these grades, then do better. you won't be criticized. If you get A's and everything, you're not going to get criticized, right? Like that's the solution here. The NFL just being like, oh, we're going to talk about this. You can't do the report cards anymore because it makes us look bad. How about being better? That won't make you look bad. Like, this is so ridiculous. This is the NFL being the NFL, hating to be told that it's doing anything wrong, especially these owners who a lot of them are so in over their heads, Woody Johnson. And this is just silly. This is just absolutely silly. I hope this continues. I hope the NFLPA puts out more comments. I hope they put out more grades. Let's hold these owners accountable. And I look at it just from the fans' point of view. We've always said, I've said, everybody here has said, the one thing in sports you can't overcome as a fan is if your team, your favorite team, is owned by somebody who's totally incompetent. There's nothing you could do. You can't. You can fire the manager, you can fire the coach, you can trade the quarterback, you can do whatever. You can't get rid of the owner. Well, this helps keep the owners a little bit accountable. We find out who the good owners are, who the bad owners are, although we kind of know anyway. And taking that away, I think, would just be silly. Like, let's hold these guys accountable for the fans, for everybody, for the players too, to get better conditions. This whole story is ridiculous.
Yeah, Frank's a tough act to follow today. I got to say, going second behind him. But this kind of seems like a restaurant where a chef asks for like feedback on dishes, and then one of the people who's eating there says like the chicken was too dry, and the chef comes out from back and is yelling like, "Who said the chicken's too dry?" Like, you asked for feedback.
Chicken's always dry.
This is part of the process.
Who orders the chicken?
True. Fair point. The fish wasn't good. Whatever it is, you're asking for feedback. I think it's good. I think it's healthy to have transparency. And ultimately, we have seen, like we've said, different things happen where different organizations and franchises have been like, wow, either we realized that, the cafeteria was terrible or there wasn't enough childcare, other things, and they've made improvements to it. Or it's even more glaring if you get all of these comments and then you don't make improvements to it. And that is something that we've heard, right? Free agents and other people look at as well. They use this as guideposts to, hey, not only does this, state maybe not have state income tax, but also this team has really great childcare or vice versa. Like, these are things that I think people use and players use. So I think that they should continue in whatever fashion they're able to. And ultimately, yes, it does kind of seem like owners just not liking the feedback, especially the negative feedback that can come with it.
Bingo.
Yeah, they don't mind. I think, in summary, they don't like the grades, but they would accept them if like you tell your kids sometimes, hey, show me your work. Like, this is how you got to the solution in your math problem. Can you show me your work here? They want to know all the comments. They want to see all of them. Or that is their way of trying to deflect this and thread the needle and say you're violating the CBA. All right, so there's a lot going on when it comes to Major League Baseball and prop bets. Same for the NBA. Well-documented scandals in both MLB and the NBA in the last few weeks, specifically about prop bets. My favorite team, the Cleveland Guardians, have had two players indicted this week, Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase, specifically, allegedly, prop bet issues where, sure, we'll throw the first pitch of an inning in the dirt and we'll collect a couple of bucks. Tom Pelissero, good friend at NFL Network, the NFL sent a memo to team officials today saying that in light of these recent scandals, the league has worked with lawmakers, regulators, and sports betting partners in recent weeks to limit and, where possible, prohibit prop bets in the NFL. Ben, I want to start with you. This is in your lane. College sports, as the NCAA has made a big point about this as well, saying prop bets are a major issue. What do you think is going to happen here?
So I think this is a great kind of first step, right? We saw Major League Baseball this week as well kind of respond to those indictments and say, hey, we work with the sports books. We're now going to have $200 limits on these certain types of prop bets, and you can't parlay them together, right? Which is part of the issues with some of these, is people getting down way too much money on basically someone, it was a pitcher who can decide, hey, I'm going to throw a curveball and throw it in the dirt and tell a bettor, and they're getting tens of thousands of dollars down. That just shouldn't happen. That market shouldn't be available. Or if it is available, it should have a very low limit. And so what the NFL has basically said is a couple of these different types of prop bets, and they, I believe, have 4 different bullet points. They have inherently objectionable markets, officiating related determinable by one person in one play, i.e. like, will a kicker make or miss a field goal?
Yeah.
Will a quarterback's first pass be incomplete? A lot of these are bets that really, I think, are primarily for the Super Bowl, if we're being honest, where you see just a massive amount of prop bets because they try and have as many as possible surrounding the game. I think this is kind of a good step for optics. I don't think this particularly changes that much on a week-to-week basis for the NFL, but it's good to kind of see, hey, the NFL obviously has optics, right? And they've been partnered with all these sports betting companies. They need to work together. They need to work together with regulators and say, hey, this isn't working. Question, do we need to even offer this market? And then if we offer this market, should there be a much lower limit for people? Should they be able to parlay it together? Things like that. So I think we're starting to see the leagues see, hey, we can't offer everything. We can't have these giant limits on all of these different markets. This is a good step towards working towards that. I think we'll continue to see more of that. But in terms of what NFL betting might look like on Sunday versus last Sunday, I think it's going to be basically the same.
Yeah, I don't mind actually paring down some of the props. Like you talked about. First pitch being a ball or a strike probably never should have been offered, at least at a limit that makes any difference. But I always like to say, those who aren't very educated in the gambling world always just make sports betting out to be the villain and let's get rid of it because that's going to fix everything. It really doesn't. Gambling's still going to exist, guys. It is. Like, it just matters. The thing is, with legal gambling, Emmanuel Clase, the system worked. Emmanuel Clase got caught. He's right now, like you said, indicted. He's turned himself into the FBI, if I remember the headline correctly today.
He did.
The system worked. Yeah. And I think other guys, like, let's say there's a kicker. Let's say there's a kicker who's like, oh man, I'm going to tell my associates to get down $100,000 on me missing the first field goal. I'm going to shank it to the right. He's going to look and say, do I really want to do jail time for this? Because that's what's going to happen. Emmanuel Clase is the example. It's stupid. Like, you're throwing away your career.
He's never going to play. He's never going to throw a pitch. He's never going to pitch unless he's somehow exonerated.
Never.
Innocent until proven guilty.
And even then.
Okay.
He will have the
He's never going to pitch again in the majors.
Never.
Ever.
Never. And he was one of the three best closers in Major League Baseball. I think he led
2 years ago. He had a top 5 closer season of all time.
Yes. Phenomenal pitcher. Could have made tens of millions of dollars the rest of his career. Threw it all away. So we go back to, all these guys are going to be throwing games, and it's not rigged, people. Trust me. But if somebody is putting down hundreds of thousands of dollars on a field goal kicker missing a field goal, and he ends up shanking it to the right and not even coming close, the authorities will be alerted, where that doesn't happen in the illegal markets. So the system worked here. Yes, it's not great. I don't love these stories. They're not good, but over and over again, I just keep saying the system worked. It tips them off. Like the Arizona State betting scandal for basketball in the 90s. It was tipped off because all of a sudden everybody's betting against Arizona State on a random Wednesday Pac-12 game.
Right.
Like,
the Headache Smith one.
This is kosher. Yes, that one. So again, getting rid of it is just an overreaction from people who really don't know the betting world that well.
So let me leave you on this. And I can't gamble. I'm a league and club employee. I have no desire to gamble. It's just not me. It's not what I do. I don't need the extra anxiety. God bless you if you want to do it. It's a free society. It's legal. Go for it. I'm not that guy that has ever wanted extra anxiety about a pitch, an inning, an outcome, ever. But to Ben's point, too, about guys chasing things with first pitch prop bets, things like that. If you are betting on the first pitch of an inning, ball or strike, that is what I like to call you have a problem bet. There are prop bets that are fun and you have a problem prop bet. Because if you need action on whether or not Luis Ortiz can find the strike zone to open up the third inning of a Thursday matinee in Milwaukee, you have a problem. And you should seek help for said problem. We don't have a problem with these games this week. They're fantastic games. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your week 11. Frank, I hope the Broncos offense looks fantastic and we have a great game to discuss on Monday, which is when we are
one way or another. One way or another, man.
For Frank Schwab.
You're going to remind me. Yes, it's okay.
And for Ben Fawkes. I'm Andrew Siciliano. Enjoy your football, and we will see you on Inside Coverage next month. So long, everybody.